Welcome, Wolfe Digital Tribe. This is Richard Wolfe, your host on the Palacios Paradox. And tonight we're going to be discussing, and I want you to leave a comment, interact with me. Remember, this has to be a collective effort. I myself, and I alone, cannot do anything. I'm not trying to do anything. All I'm doing is, from a journalistic standard, I'm approaching this with integrity, character, and honor. But regardless of that, it's not like the information that I'm providing and raising awareness is hidden. There are things which I have that will soon come to the surface and that will be revealed, if you want to say revealed, that you can say was hidden from the general public. But nothing can be totally withheld, not by due process of law, and definitely not by the ones that think they are smarter than us, they are better than us, and that they are more qualified. Qualifications mean nothing if you do not uphold integrity and character and just the basic moral compass that we all should govern our lives by. So again, welcome to the Wolfe Digital Tribe. I moved here a little over, almost 5 years ago. Prior to the COVID shutdown, I know that feels like a bad dream for all of us, but little did I know that I would come to love this town very much and embrace the culture here and embrace my neighbors and the people I now call my friends. So Palacios, as you know, it's a coastal jewel built on shrimping, sweat, and of course, survival. It's a town where history whispers from the docks and echoes in the council chambers, both beneath the surface, beneath the bureaucratic layers. Something is wrong, guys. For months, all of us, residents, community members, have reported skyrocketing water bills, confusing statements, denied record requests. And when I asked questions, and continually asked questions, the answers in the beginning where this started were worse than silence. Tonight, we uncover how a city that prides itself on its resilience is being bled dry behind closed doors. This investigation started with a simple Facebook post. I questioned the inconsistency in Palacios water bills. And really, it started with this post. Has anyone had any discrepancies with their water bills? That's it. And within days, I was summoned to the Palacios City Council chambers for a private meeting on November 20th of last year. But this wasn't transparency. This was damage control. And I'm not the only one that city council members and administration have done this to. Tried to corner up and bully. Fear-mongering. Seated across from me was the city manager, Cindy Raleigh, city council member, Chip Wolfe, and other officials. And I asked basic questions. Where is the water meter data stored? Who has access? Can bills be altered manually? Their response, disjointed, conflicting, and so evasive. Cindy Raleigh stated meters are satellite read. City assistant quoted, we manually enter data using magnets. Chip Wolfe stated, I don't know who pays attention to their water bill. Chip Wolfe didn't know. Well, let me tell you who does. The single parents the retirees, the shrimpers fighting to keep their homes, they pay attention because we don't have the luxury of ignoring a bill that we can't afford. So while residents here struggle to get answers about billing discrepancies, Palacios City Council fast-tracked a $53,000 contract with LSPS Solutions, LLC. So let's break it down. 500 valves mapped at $88 per valve, $5,000 for line mapping, $240 a month and cloud fees, no competitive bidding process, which seems to be a track record for our city. No competitive bidding process. They'll say that there is competitive bidding process, but all you have to do is look at the records, which is very slim. Very slim. Why prioritize valve mapping over billing integrity? We have to ask ourselves that. Why push this contract through on November 14th, just 6 days before my meeting? And here is the kicker. When asked where the billing data was stored, officials couldn't even name the cloud provider. I don't even think they knew or know. City assistant said, "It's the cloud." And I asked, "Which cloud? Google Cloud? iCloud?" Assistant said, "Just the cloud." A system that manually inputs data, which we went back and forth on this manually inputted data question. By the way, I really want to break that down for you to be completely transparent, but I don't want to get too deep into every word that was said. But a system that manually inputs data, a $53,000 contract that bypassed public scrutiny, and a city that claims to prioritize infrastructure while letting bills spiral out of control. This isn't incompetence. It's deliberate mismanagement. It's intentional, guys. Completely intentional. So let's talk about patterns of corruption, right? Patterns of corruption. See, Palacios isn't the only town facing deep corruption. Consider Hidalgo County Sheriff Lupe, let me get this name right, Trevino, who took kickbacks from drug cartels while his officers ran illegal schemes. The playbook remains the same across Texas. Isolate information, closed-door council meetings, monetize public infrastructure, unjust contracts, intimidate whistleblowers. Are you going to pay your bill, as Chip Wolfe said at the end of the conversation? The last question. I have one more question for you, Mr. Wolfe. What is it, Mr. or Councilman? Are you going to pay your water bill? What a question. Let's just say that I was very upset at that question. But I'm not I'm not intimidated by bullies. Those are the ones that I absolutely have stood against my entire life. So meanwhile, while violent crime here is 8% above the national rates, financial crimes go unprosecuted. Palacios law enforcement has only 3.3 officers per 1,000 residents, I believe it is. But what are they focused on? Arresting locals for disorderly conduct at a Dairy Queen? Ignoring financial misconduct in City Hall? It's not just about water, it's about power. And since all civilizations throughout history, that's what it's been about. This country country we live in, country we have fought, dug our hands in the dirt, built, hurricanes destroy, natural disasters destroy, rebuild, revitalize. Our forefathers embarked on the greatest experiment of them all, as the French called it, democracy, so that one individual or a single entity or ideology or idea would not hold ultimate power. Checks and balances. That's what this country is founded on. So what do we do now? How do we fight back? I've demanded, requested an outside audit, a state audit. That's what we need to demand. Yes, we have an auditor, but we need an audit that is independently or has no ties to this area, no favoritism, no history. We need a state audit, an immediate forensic investigation into city contracts. A DOJ, the Department of Justice, Public Corruption Task Force, bring federal oversight to Palacios. Citizen Oversight Committee. Citizen Oversight Committee. Residents must have, we all must have real-time access to water billing records. You know, I challenge anyone right now. I challenge all of us. Walk up to where you pay your water bill and ask from their computer to see real-time data. I've never done it. I would like someone else to do it. Walk in there and say, hey, I would like you to turn your computer screen around and show me the real-time live data. I'll leave it at there, or leave it at that. We need emergency water bill relief. You know, I recall sitting in, waiting for a meeting or something at the city hall, and it was just, I heard this gentleman, business owner, and he was just sweating, just stressed out. He was like, my water bill's $15,000. Why? And it was like the next person. I'm just sitting there and I'm minding my own business, and like, wow. I mean, this isn't isolated, and where it started is where it will finish, if that makes any sense. You know, things can go unchecked for so long. Unchecked power will be held accountable eventually, but we must collectively demand it. Electing new officials, it's not going to change. We must demand, beseech state and federal process and agencies to bring the big boys in. Bring real champions of democracy. People that work, Americans that worked for the government out of ethics, character, and honor. Retroactive refunds for inflated bills. We also must demand a grand jury investigation. possible felony charges for record tampering. We're not asking for favors. We're demanding basic accountability. And if officials won't act, we will. I personally, I'll cross oceans and stand from the highest mountain peak if I have to. Nothing will deter what I know is absolute mismanagement, waste, and abuse of power. You know, we've weathered hurricanes, and prior to me moving here, I've heard of hurricanes that were weathered here in this town. We've all experienced economic downturns and hardships. But corruption may be the most dangerous of them all. Hey everyone, this is Richard Wolfe with Wolfe Digital Tribe. Thanks again for tuning in to the Palacios Paradox. Remember guys, the only way we can get the word out and work together in the medical region and beyond is to like, share with everyone you know, your friends, your family. Click subscribe. And again, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for tuning in. Let's be history makers. Wolfe Digital Tribe, check it out.